Today's Dallas Cowboys report is sponsored by Aura. They offer all-in-one digital safety for you and or your entire family. A free 14-day trial. Cancel at any time, by the way, when you head over to aura.com/chatsports. Tell you all about their all-in-one safety tool later on. We begin with some rumors coming out of training camp, beginning with, is it time to make a change at kicker? And although the kickers were better today, Jonathan Garibay is one of his best days, Hajrullahu best day overall, it's still 4. I am still worried and still concerned about the kicker position. This is not that challenging of a situation. There appear to be some mechanical issues, some confidence issues, but overall through camp, here are the numbers. From the normal kicks to the mojo moments, all of it. Jonathan Garibay is hitting on 55% of his field goals. Wind or not, that's bad. Lirim Hajrullahu hitting on 84.7%. Not great. Better than Greg Zuerlein's last 4 years on average, but also his leg isn't as strong as Garibay. And the UDFA from Texas Tech has really struggled. I know that was Bones Fassel's guy, but we are in August now, and there is no confidence in the Cowboys kicker. And even offensive line leader Zach Martin is kind of maybe a little bit concerned when you read between the lines of his quote here. I don't think it's a secret. We got a competition there. It's been a back and forth, and I'm sure they like to hit more of the kicks than they have. I don't know what it's like to be in those situations, but we need them to step up and make some kicks. That's not quite Peyton Manning calling the kicker an idiot, but we're kind of on that track as far as I'm concerned. And I believe that now is the time to adjust the plan. Up until this point, I don't really have any issues with the way the Cowboys have handled the kicker situation. We were all, understandably, upset with the way Greg Zuerlein performed last year. Of course, I called him the kicker, didn't give him a name for half the season. And there were no free agent kickers. The only kicker to transfer teams this year was Greg Zuerlein. That's the only one who was a free agent and signed elsewhere. The draft picks was only Cade York. He was gone before your 4th-round pick. You couldn't have taken him over Jake Ferguson. He was off the board. Your UDFAs, going with Jonathan Garibay was just fine. He was awesome last year at Texas Tech. People said, oh, Cameron Dicker, he's a punter for the Rams. Not even kicking, he's a punter. Gabe Bursick, or however you pronounce his last name, the Oklahoma kid, was already cut once. So those big 3 UDFAs, they didn't work that well. You've got other options coming in a little bit that we'll get to, but this is the time to make changes. You can't just do the same thing over and over and expect new results. That is the definition of insanity. So we'll spend some more time on this and give you some options at kicker, but do you think the Cowboys need a new one? Y for yes or N for no? This is the pinned comment on today's show. I think I'll see a lot of yeses, but I want to hear from you in the comment section. If the ad break plays, head down there. Y for yes, N for no. This is not the time to stick with the we like our guys BS, as I call it, because there's been no investment. There's been no commitment to anybody. You didn't draft Jonathan Garibay. You didn't throw a bunch of money at Lirim Hajrullahu, so cut one. Probably Garibay, despite both guys having their best, I think, camp practices so far on Monday, hasn't worked. I don't know how much of a sample size you need to go, oh yeah, we're fine. Everything's fixed now. If you want to give it until the first preseason game and the joint practices, okay, I'm fine with that, but it is time to look at other options. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure and losing games since your coaching staff and organization loves to settle for field goals late in games. Some notable free agent kickers, among plenty of other ones. Remember, you can find guys. You found Brett Maher off the streets, and he was actually fine until you refused to look beyond him because you liked your guys too much. You had Chris Nagar. You cut him. You could always bring him back. Michael Badger's a somewhat notable name. Cobra Kai Forbath, still unsigned. Sam Sloman's bounced around the NFL. A bunch of other guys who have bounced around the NFL. Cole Murphy, USFL here. I thought the top one in the USFL. Try one of them. You didn't commit. That's the gloriousness of not investing so much at a kicker. If one's bad, cut him and move on. Now, today's show is presented by Aura. Make sure your financial and personal information is protected online and keep it safe from hackers and off the dark web. Aura offers top-of-the-line financial fraud protection, near real-time alerts on any and all suspicious credit inquiries, get a free 14-day trial when you head over to aura.com/chatsports. That link, by the way, is in the comments section, and it's in the description of today's show. So, you know what? Why not try it? You can cancel at any time, so there's really no reason not to give it a shot. Aura.com/chatsports. Let's talk trade rumors at wide receiver now. How about getting a Giants receiver in either Kadarius Toney or Darius Slayton? I'm going to give this one star. I don't think it's all that likely, although there is one far more likely guy than the other. We'll begin with the unlikely one. Kadarius Toney's not getting traded to the Cowboys. I was surprised to see that one included on that front there. Toney's had a good camp so far, drawn a lot of praise, but it is almost impossible to see the Giants dumping Toney so soon, and if they do, that should be a pretty big red flag about how good he actually is. The more logical of the two, by far, is Darius Slayton. Due $2.54 million this year. He's on the outside looking in, the likes of Shepard and Galladay and Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson. That makes sense for the Giants if they shop him. And I think he'd be a decent fit on the Cowboys roster. Gallup and Tolbert are going to miss time. That is just, Gallup and Washington are going to miss time. Hopefully Lamb and Tolbert can be your 1 and your 2 early on. A lot of unknowns beyond that. Fehoko, Brown, Vasher, Houston, rank them however you want to. Kevontae Turpin might just make this team as well. The one thing these guys lack right now, reliable outside vertical threat. That is what Slayton was earlier in his career. He kind of fell out of favor last year, and the quarterback play wasn't particularly good either, so that feels worth mentioning from that standpoint. But I do think it's a situation where they should consider looking at a receiver in Slayton. And he's not that expensive, a one-year rental. That's a good name amongst plenty of others out there. I think the Cowboys could, or at least maybe should, consider at wide receiver. Now, what do you want to do at that position? Type in T for trade for a receiver, S for sign someone, or do N for nothing. Let me know in the comments right now. Let's move to the receiver position, but on the roster. Could a fan favorite at wide receiver get cut? I'm going to give this one 2 stars. I thought about 3 and even 4 to an extent, but injuries happen, so we'll keep it more in the rumor category. By fan favorite, I mean either TJ Vasher or Simi Fehoko, most likely. The Cowboys do still have a numbers game when it comes to the wide receiver depth at the moment. And barring an injury, a camp winner, Fehoko, Brown, TJ Vasher, Dennis Houston, one of them will probably end up being cut. And they don't really have a proven wide receiver beyond CeeDee Lamb in terms of talent, which could maybe lead to another addition. Now you got more cuts to make here. Let's begin with some conversation on Fehoko, by the way, who's I think the other notable name on this list. He had a great day at camp today, Monday. He looked awesome. I think maybe his best day so far. But the numbers game is very real. Think about it this way. The big 4, right? 3 locks on there. CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, Michael Gallup, who I think, by the way, you're going to carry through to the start of the season and not put one of those guys on IR. So you got to keep Gallup on that roster. James Washington will go on IR at some point. So that's 3 spots. Looking elsewhere now, I think that Noah Brown should feel pretty safe right now. He's had a good camp so far, so we'll put him in there as receiver 4. Kevontae Turpin, if he's your punt returner, should feel pretty safe, I think. That leaves Simi Fehoko, TJ Vasher, and surprise UDFA Dennis Houston all on the bubble. You're not going to carry 8 receivers. The maximum you'll carry is 7, and even that might be a little bit too high on that front. So pick one of these guys to cut. DH for Dennis Houston, TJ for TJ Vasher, or SF for Simi Fehoko. More on all 3 coming up, but if you got to cut one, who is it? Let me know in the comments. And I know my Texas Tech fans here are big fans of Vasher, understandably so. He's got the size that other receivers don't have right now on this roster, which I think is a pretty big benefit in his standpoint. But both Vasher and Fehoko don't have special teams value. At least they haven't had some so far in their brief NFL careers. Fehoko's got great traits, great speed and size combination. I'm really intrigued by him. But even despite that, Dennis Houston, in a bit of a shocker, the rookie UDFA from Western Illinois, he's been the one getting reps with the ones. And he got some, and this is important, special teams reps today with the ones at training camp. They're trying to get Dennis Houston on this team as best as possible, but the numbers game does not align. Somebody that you guys like, I think is going to end up getting cut from this Cowboys team. Now, we will keep you covered on all the different roster cuts. Remember, it goes from 90 to 85, 85 to 80, 80 to 53 before the season begins. We've got you guys covered with all the moves that happen right here at the Cowboys Report. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and join us for more free Cowboys videos out here every single day. Let's move to the quarterback situation where I think we've got a battle at quarterback too. Will Grier appears to have outplayed Cooper Rush so far, and he got some reps with the second team and the backups on Monday. I think there's a real battle going on here right now, which I wasn't fully prepared for at the beginning of this offseason. Rush has not had his best stuff so far. He had 3 straight fumbled snaps at one point. There was the highlight of him throwing the ball into Jerry Jones's little perch. It was a terrible throw. Rush has been underwhelming. He's kind of been an every other year guy at camp in the preseason, but I think for the games now, this is something to monitor, how these guys play in the preseason games. So pick a backup. CR for Cooper Rush, who of course has that Minnesota game to hang his hat on, or Will Grier, who appears to have been better than Rush so far in the preseason. CR or WG. Some rapid-fire injury news and notes here. Jabril Cox, hashtag Cox out, back to practice after a minor ding of his knee. Cowboys being cautious. I'm hoping he's getting ramped up soon, and we'll see just how much he plays in the preseason. Rookie tight end Jake Ferguson had a minor tweak in his hamstring last week, was back at practice today. Good news on that standpoint. Jayron Kearse, however, one of 2 more notable players to miss practice today on Monday. Back injury. I don't think the severity is bad at all, but we'll keep an eye on it. He's a very important part of this Cowboys team, and of course, he's had a fantastic training camp so far. And finally, Luke Gifford, who missed practice with a hamstring injury, which is a bit of a red flag to me because Gifford's been banged up a lot in his NFL career, and he is a core special teamer at linebacker. If he misses time, it could require some adjustments to be made at that position for the Cowboys. That is the end of our news and rumors roundup. If you made it to the end, you are a real one, and I appreciate that. Show me that you are, and we'll give you some love in the comments by typing in real one in the comment section.